Welcome to Meditate to Resolve Suffering. This is video 6 of the series, and this one deals with two big words that limit your ability to block your ability to meditate. The two words are stress and pride. Understanding those two words in the dictionary and in how I am applying it that limits your ability to meditate and it actually blocks it. Now, stress. What is stress and what is pride? Let's deal with that, because they're very similar. If you got a lot of pride, you'll have a lot of stress, and that's how it works. Stress is very physical. It's in your shoulders, tightens the body up. And what it does is lock the mind into a sequence, into a pattern that just tightens your energy. Your real physical energy is consumed with stress. You get very exhausted if you're really stressed. But anyway, the pride is another psychological state. And it's opposite to two words. Humble and humility. I'll get into those two words. But really understanding what stress is, because if you meditate, truly meditate with the four parts, you will have no stress in your shoulders, body. It'll be fluid. If you truly are humble, the effects of meditating will be endowed within the self itself. And I'll get into that there. How do you explain when someone says you need to change? What are people talking about? What needs to be changed? Let's be very specific about it, because if you're not, you don't know what you're doing, in the sense of you did change or you didn't change. And it's a combination of a lot of an effect when someone says you need to change. So really understanding these four words, that's stress, pride, humble, and humility. Humility. Now, let me talk about these two words. Being humble takes stress out. It is the counter to stress. Humility and being humble go together. When you have pride and you have humility, you can't have both together. They're incompatible with each other. So really understanding those two words that actually block or limit your ability to meditate, to get into yourself. That is the totality of your being from an energy point of view, from a spirit point of view involved. So how do you want to change using meditate? Now let's get clarity on something. There's two words. What is meditate? I use it always as a verb. That means it's activity. It has the four parts. That's breath, body, brain, and mind. Engaged in a sequential way in order to do meditation. Meditation is a noun. It is a thing. It is abstract thoughts that you create to create a state. So picking the right meditation is as important as engaging those four parts I'm telling you. That's the physical part to engage, that creates. It's like having all the ingredients of a cake, but no oven. That's a metaphor on that. So really understanding these words, what limits your ability to meditate as well. Now, let's go into stress. What is stress? And it's based on fear. There's a lot of other factors of identity, abstract idea. If you didn't have an abstract idea, like a baby, you get stressed over some basic things like food, thirsty, too hot, too cold, that. And they cry, then they stop, and they're fine. When you become an adult, you have anticipation. And when you start projecting in the future when you're young, I'm stressing out, I'm going to have to go do this. Or you go, when you're older, it's all about the past. That happened to me, this happened, they did this, someone did that. And it's all anti-now. What's going on now? When you meditate, you're in the physical act of meditating. You're in the here, the now. Your state of being is being, how can I say, realized in your brain that's projected into the mind. When you're meditation, you use the mind to affect the brain and the body and your pattern. So achieving the goal of meditating, it requires to get the full effect is meditation. We'll get into what is meditation, what are you trying to, because there's two types of meditation. There's secular meditation, there's no God. And then there is spiritual meditation, and heightens your sense of the divine, outside of self, outside the universe, outside of time involved. So really appreciate the range of possibilities we humans have. It is beautiful because we have free will. I'll get into that too, even. But let's go back to one thing I was going to state. When you're meditating, you want to do that and meditate, you want to change. And either you're going to change your stress and the effects of what's creating you stressful, or you're going to change your pride, which is a state of being that you think you are, or what you are, and you're afraid that someone's going to see through it, or you won't allow anything in. You're dissolving pride. Think of dissolving it. And when you do that, now remember, my title is Meditate to Resolve Suffering. And always with high pride, there's always suffering involved. Psychological, to get you into trouble, you involved. And there's a new video I'm going to have on this. It's going to be really good. It is how you approach, you actually create your own suffering. You do things that enhance suffering. And that is something you have to realize people do. And it's basically off of social pressure. Sometimes there's fads you get into, and when you get done with it, you're an emotional wreck. Afterwards, your physical is not as good, your emotional is not good. So really understanding that to meditate, to resolve suffering, requires to really understand what are you doing. And like I said, there's two types of meditation. There's secular and there is spirituality involved. And I'll deal with both in one sense. And there is nothing wrong with, to a point, meditate to resolve self. Is, how can I say, it's like an exercise. When you engage your breath, the key element to this whole thing to change, to resolve stress, to resolve pride, is breath. Understanding breath. I talked about it before, but really getting into it now, because you got to start engaging the breath, feeling the breath, moving the breath, and the effect of breathing is producing energy through your body. In the Eastern world, they call it ki energy. Ki energy is not spiritual energy, it's actual your physical spirit energy in you, projecting out of you. Everyone has it. It's life. No ki energy, no life. That is the definition. So I'm blending a lot of schools, a lot of thoughts, Eastern, Western, involved. And you have to appreciate all of it because you're trying to find words to describe what you're trying to do, what exists, how does things work. So you create the meditation effect when you do it. Understand the free will is the ability to move your energy, to decide yes or no. I will, I won't do. Consequence is another thing, but another effect of your choice. But the fact is you choose. You choose to enhance your suffering, and you choose to decrease your suffering. When I get in that video, that's another video totally on there. But for now, we're dealing with stress, we're dealing with pride, and we're dealing with being humble and being with humility. Now I'm going to use the word change. And what do you want to change in life? The ultimate change for a person, I guess the best benefit, is the word attitude. Understanding what the word attitude means and how I'm using it. So in reality, I argue this. When you really get into meditate, what do you want to change? There's a lot of things you can change, health, a few other things, this and that, dealing with an issue. But when you really want to change yourself, you're changing your attitude. Attitude is a projection of self in interaction and onto your own self. It's like a mirror, Here you are doing, and you're perceiving yourself. Attitude is always at the state of moment of interaction of thought. Attitude is a 1 minute could be this way. It's an emotional state being projected, being created in the moment. That's what fear is, and that's what pride is. It's an attitude involved. Think about it. Really think about it. How would you like to cut your stress down? By eliminating it, resolving it. Say 60% of your stress attitude. That's an attitude involved. And it's based on fear, generally speaking. It prevents you from meditating because you don't want to let it go. It's like a lot of people I've seen, they don't want to change. What do they want to? My attitude, myself, I know it. I know my pride, I know my fear, and leave me alone. But what does people do that is basically the most harmful thing to them is drink alcohol. That's imposing new suffering. You do alcohol, you get into alcohol. And once you get, it's like, what does alcohol do for you, basically? And the number one thing I argue, it releases stress. You calm yourself down. Give me a beer. It'll calm me down. So really understanding what drugs do, alcohol does, and I consider this, I'll make the statement, all drugs, alcohol, are a depressant of your energy because it alters your energy to be emotional about some things. Alcohol, the Greeks had it well, really don't. Whatever you drink, that's from beer to alcohol, rum, whatever, has a characteristic, it has its own spirit. When you drink alcohol, you replace your spirit with the alcohol spirit. In fact, there is a great country western song called Beer, drinking beer. And he goes into the list of what he drinks, whiskey, he drinks bourbon, they each have a different effect on him, and he likes beer. Great song, but it describes what I'm saying. You're replacing your spirit. Now, why do I say that? When you do something, you go to a sport event, you interact with your family, your kids, what are you doing with your spirit? You're involving your spirit into that activity. And here's a statement. Whatever you do emotionally, enjoyment, family, under the influence of alcohol, like a beer, cannot be repeated, that emotional feeling you had, without the alcohol altering your physical state. The more you do things and enjoy things without alcohol, that is you. That is it. That is you as a totality. Your whole emotional ability can be engaged. And you can just repeat it without alcohol anytime you want, dealing with the person. That's why children of alcoholics, you talk to them, it's like they see their parents in two realities. When they're under the influence of a drug or alcohol, and when they're not. And what do they trust and want to be with? Who do they want to be with? As I was just told someone who comes from alcohol parents, as kids, they'd wait for their dad. He came home at between 4 and 5. They're happy, he's this. If he goes past 5:30 or 6, they go to bed. Because they know how he'd be under the influence of alcohol. Now, meditating. When you're meditating, that is a state in itself. of your energy state, your physical being, your brain and mind, of realization and movement and altering. The meditation is like the script. What do you want to create? Having a strong meditating process, strengthen that, understanding how to do it, centering yourself. That helps you when you do pick a meditation state you want. It's abstract, always starts with abstract ideas. It has force. If you don't have all four parts engaged and how strong that is and how well you're playing with it, you can try to meditate, but stress and pride will limit you. Now, the word pride, I worked it out. Now, from a Christian point of view, involved, pride always limits your ability to realize God. You will always turn away from God with pride. When you're humble and have humility, God, the influence of God, the force of God through the Holy Spirit can flow through you. You can realize it. Really understanding when you're fearful, what's in your head? Think about it. Every time you get fearful, there's an abstract in your head, your brain, and your mind feeds off of that. Oh, what do I got to do? You're thinking back and forth. To do what? Protect yourself. Or you're remembering past hurts. You know, I take a very Christian, I take a very Buddhist point of view about the past. It's dead. It doesn't exist anymore in a sense. It exists in you, but it doesn't. You cannot alter the past. You can alter yourself. You can alter your attitude, and you have a future you can create. But when you start thinking of the past hurts, father did this, whatever, okay, so what? What are you doing about it? What are you going to do? Remembering past hurts never cures the past hurts. Like the Buddha says, compassion. Have compassion for the fool, for the idiot, or for the person that doesn't know what they're doing to you. In the Christian point of view, you love them, you forgive them, let them go, let the past go. They have mixed the two together, compassion and love, and forgive. That way you can release it. Now the word release is very critical if you want to change. I'm releasing it. There's two major words you should understand. One's an economic term, indifference. And the other one is a very spiritual side, is releasing the past. And now, here again, the problem with releasing the past, you don't know what yourself is. You're present in the here and now. That's where meditating is a heightening of your senses, your physical senses, your brain function, your mind, and it's work. It's work. It's releasing. Now, I also make a statement. All emotions are in your body. All traumas are in your body, not in your head. Psychology goes to a point to your head, but not to the body. When you go into your body, releasing it in your body, then you have to actually replace it with something. Forgiveness. What do you want here? What do you want to expand your emotions on? That's where meditation, picking which meditation you're going to get, comes into play. Because your end goal is to lower, become more humble, and have humility to allow the divine to come into you. And then it comes through you in interacting with other people and yourself. Now, I say this, everyone has a mind, a heart, that's emotional state, and soul. The soul is fused to the physical involved. That's how I'm playing it out. You got to debate the point, fine, but what I'm playing is you got to change the physical to affect your emotional and your heart, otherwise you have a cold heart. And why life is too short. We have an end point. Believe me, I know about the end point on that. I don't have that much time. time is short. So I'm trying to get everything down and become a better person by changing my attitude, by allowing it more. It's like the old expression, smell the roses or smell the flowers, or involved. They have all these fancy things, but it's all about the outside. Now when you're changing, you got two extremes. I distilled everything down to its basic. You can change your environment. Like, I'm going to Hawaii. The environment there it is. Oh, it's so relaxing. I have less stress, no fear. It's vacation. No interaction. You're not living there. On there. So you have the outside, then you have attitude change. That's what I'm going to use. Your goal to become humble and have humility with others, accepting everything, is changing your being humility through humility. For pride limits your range of change. You cannot change attitude with a high pride. It's not possible. You don't let the new stuff in. It's like, no, this is it. I know, whatever. Those words, understanding the words, how I'm putting them, so you can decide if you want to change. And you want to change, this whole program is your attitude. You have an alcoholic attitude, it's called the dry drunk, if you drink that much for that long a period of time. And you always have the craving for it because it consumes time. Value time. Time is very important in the sense of how your thoughts affect your energy, your projection, emotional state involved. So really, understanding the word, you go and say stress. How do you change stress? Breath is involved. Every relaxing program I've ever read or know about has a degree of breath. How much breath development? I got a whole sequences on that one of how to developing the breath and involved. So stress has to be changed with the breath, the body, and mind. Now, the pride is mental down to brain to the body and breath. How to use your breath to change pride, your spirit. Now, I'm going to use the word spirit. You got two types of spirit. You got divine spirit, the Holy Spirit, divine, and then you got one self spirit. You have your own spirit. And when you use the meditation, the way I teach it and everything, you're developing your spirit. No direction, just, you direct your spirit. And you can direct it to the divine, or you can direct it to secular involved. What's secular? The absence of divine, no God involved on there. So really understanding the idea of spirituality development in meditation and not involved. There's the idea of meditating is a physical act. It's going to take time, but it is a process of releasing. And then meditation is to bring in and alter what? One's attitude. That's my ultimate goal. Because if you want to recover from suffering, resolve suffering, it is an attitude change. And it's both physical, brain, mind, and spirit is your breath. How you breathe. When you're under stress, you know what the one thing you can't do is exhale. Exhale is always the release. I'm going to give there's 4 parts to breath. I've repeated it in the other series, but I'm going to repeat it again. It's 4 parts. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause. Inhale brings energy in. Pause is when you're strongest. Exhale is always the release of energy of what you brought in and your body's energy. The longer you can exhale for 20 seconds, your shoulders are looser. And how do you begin exhaling longer? Is softening the shoulders with that. So the mind directs it. The function of the mind is to consume energy or direct energy, but never produces energy. So really, it's complicated in one way, but I'm distilling it down. Everything I said in this whole series is basic. It's to get you the basic ideas of understanding these words and how I'm using them for you to have a path, a way of developing. You can look at other schools of thought. You can look at how they're doing it. There's many ways for meditation and meditating. There's walking. I like walking, meditating. You're meditating through walking. There's sitting. There's kneeling involved. And believe it or not, if you're Christian, Muslim, when you pray, that's a form of meditation. And the longer you can exhale, the more you soften the body into the state. The more humble you shape your body, you're reshaping your body so you're not having as much pride. Pride, oh yeah, it evolved. Pride is also a protective mechanism, social protection against people telling you or insulting you or involved. There's that word pride, it has many connotations, but it limits you. It blocks meditation, limits the meditation, and it actually hurts you with the divine on the Christian point of view. You turn away. Pride does not allow God's graces into you, through you. Not into you, just it's into, through you. You bask, you bathe in it. You go in and you become, and the goal is to change attitude. That is the real state, changing from a bad person to a good person. That's why you learn manners to express being good. You learn a lot of things. There's social interactions involved. I don't care what culture you have. There's etiquette involved. And the other word that meditating can help you achieve is reverence. When you live in a place that has little or no reverence, the value of life, the joy of life is lowered. The more reverence you have to things that are positive, things that are great for you, expands your love, the heart, expands the heart, feeling I really enjoy, feel it, love. That is a key point there. Reverence is finding good reverence to the sacred. And you have to be careful there, because what people think is sacred can be really, really bad for you. There is positive energy and negative energy. Positive will always enhance you, make you more forceful, stronger. Negative energy will always make you less, always make you weaker. And I'm talking physically, and I can prove it. That's the key of it. I'll prove it. Basically, whatever I say, I try to physically show you and prove it. So really, this whole series is giving you a foundation to resolve suffering, because you can change your attitude to suffering. Life is suffering. All the major religions say that. That's Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, Catholicism involved. They all say life is suffering. And it's true. I mean, being born is very painful. Dying is no fun either on that. But anyway, and everything else, from stubbing your toes to temperature difference to emotional. We are emotional beings. We direct our energy into emotions, become more dynamic through emotions. The difference between humans and animals live in their brain. We live in our mind. The mind and brain are separate. The mind is outside the brain. Understanding that. The mind is outside the brain. That's why you have free will. That's why you can do meditation. That's why you can change your attitude. That's why you can resolve your suffering, your needless suffering. There's suffering that you can't get out of. How do you endure it? How do you work with it? That's the key element there. So really appreciating what meditating to resolve suffering can. And I will get into meditation. Meditation is a noun. Remember that. It's a noun. It's a thing. It's words. It's abstract thoughts for a goal. There's different types of meditation to achieve different things, to create a state. It's broad. It's opening up your heart for emotional state. All to change one's attitude during interaction, to lower pride and fear. That's fear. Here's the thing. On Christianity, I can tell you for sure on that. The more you appreciate the first commandment, the less fear you will have in life. That's a fact on that. And meditating is knowing the first command. Meditating, to meditate on it, that is the incorporation of that into your heart, your soul, your brain, and your mind as an attitude state. So the next video I'm going to deal with is going to be very fascinating, and how people actually increase their own suffering by choice. And that you have to be aware of. And how do you get out of it? Involved. Again, using meditating techniques and striving to change the effects of the negative things you've done on your attitude. You had enough stuff to around, you interacting with people, it's like you have a barrier in front of you, and you just really, you keep at least 3 feet away from you. You have to. You don't know any other way to resolve that internal effect of fear, of concern, of even your own pride. Because you want to keep that pride, because it's like a shield against a lot of things that you don't like, that you were raised involved. That's why in most religion, pride is the one thing that really limits you. It gets you into trouble more than anything else. In pride, you took on something that you shouldn't have never done before, based on pride, or you made a decision based on. Because every alcoholic I've ever run has a lot of pride in what they're drinking. It's a whole ritual process. It's like smoking. I have a whole thing on smoking. Everyone says nicotine addiction. No, nicotine addiction, all these people. And I'm going to say something. You smoke to change your stress. Stress is your body. That's your shoulders and so on. And smoking, everyone does one thing consistently I've watched. It's that first exhale. Smoking forces you to exhale. And everyone, it's like you have something in your hand, so you're feeling tactile. There's a whole ritual to it that you learn in your hand. You inhale, pause, and then you watch the smoke. So the mind is oblivious to the world as you're exhaling. And if you watch every smoker, the shoulders drop as they're exhaling and the body relaxes. And they go, oh man, they just feel the burn state. So appreciate what smoking does is in relationship to breath. And if you want to stop smoking, don't stop exhaling, because that will change your stress. And it has the more conscious you do your exhaling, the more. I advocate a 20-second exhale. That's basic. If you can do 20 seconds, you're calmer. Anyway, this is dealing with pride and fear, basically stress, blocking, and being humble and humility involved. And this is all, remember, everything I'm saying in this whole series is very distilled, very basic, understanding the words, not the idea. You learn it and you start with the dictionary. Always look at the dictionary for every word I use. And then how am I applying it? But the ultimate goal is to resolve suffering. Resolve it. Now the word resolving is an interesting word. It's not eliminating it. It can, and it doesn't have to. But resolving, I use that word very carefully for this whole program. So, looking for my other videos on this subject. The 6th one, I'm going to make a 7th one, and really understanding how not to do something in the next one. Have a good day.